Remember all that talk about self-driving cars being the future? Well, Tesla just slapped a date and a price tag on it with this whole Cybercab thing.
Yeah, feels like we skipped a few chapters there.
Right. So we're diving into a couple of articles today. One breaks down Tesla's big Cybercab reveal, and another looks at how companies like Uber and Lyft are reacting to the news.
Should be interesting.
Definitely. So first things first, what exactly is a Cybercab? Picture this. An almond-shaped vehicle, kind of small, like a compact car, but no steering wheel, no pedals,
Yeah.
just pure futuristic vibes.
And completely driverless, of course. That's the big selling point.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Tesla's aiming for a price point that's unheard of in the autonomous vehicle market, under $30,000.
Yeah, that's incredibly aggressive, especially when you consider the tech involved.
Right. And they're aiming to start production before 2027. That's not far off at all. But here's where Elon Musk threw everyone a curveball. His vision for the future involves human drivers becoming like shepherds. Yeah, shepherds overseeing flocks of these self-driving cybercabs.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What does that even look like? Are we talking remote monitoring, like a fleet of drones or something? Or is this like on-the-ground supervision? I have so many questions.
Me too. And what happens to traditional taxi drivers if this takes off? It's a whole different way of thinking about transportation, let alone jobs.
Absolutely. It's like comparing the horse-drawn carriage to the first automobile. This isn't just a new car. It has the potential to completely revolutionize the job market. And it puts Tesla in a completely different category, too.
Right. They're not just selling electric vehicles anymore. They're trying to take on the entire transportation sector, going head-to-head with companies like Uber and Lyft.
Talk about a power move. But Uber and Lyft have been through a lot, haven't they? They've weathered their fair share of controversy and challenges. Do they really need to be worried about Tesla muscling in on their territory? That's the billion-dollar question, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack next.
Because as ambitious as Tesla's vision is, the road to a robotaxi future is paved with a whole lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
So you'd think Uber and Lyft would be freaking out right now, right, with Tesla moving in on their turf and all.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
But our second article says the market actually reacted kind of strangely, like a sigh of relief almost.
Well, Tesla's talking about production in 2026, maybe even 2027, so it's not exactly imminent, is it? Gives Uber and Lyft a little breathing room.
Okay, so not an immediate threat. Got it. But they can't just sit back and watch Tesla take over, can they?
Probably not a good idea. And that's where this investor, Gary Black, comes in. He's got a pretty interesting take on all this.
Oh, yeah. What's he saying?
Well, he thinks Tesla should actually launch a ride-hailing app first, but with human drivers, before the robotaxis are ready.
So, like, build the customer base while they're still working out the kinks in the tech. That's kind of like opening a bookstore when you're still writing your first novel.
Exactly. The idea is they could undercut Uber and Lyft on price, maybe even offer drivers better pay and benefits, really build that brand loyalty early on.
Interesting. But isn't that kind of risky? I mean, what happens when the robotaxis are ready? Won't they end up putting their own drivers out of a job?
It's a gamble for sure, but Tesla isn't exactly known for playing it safe, are they? And even if the Cybercab launches on schedule, there are still some pretty big hurdles ahead.
Like, it seems like everyone's pretty excited about the tech itself.
Yeah, the tech is one thing, but what about the practical stuff? Regulations, for starters. Every city, every state, even different countries, they all have different rules about self-driving cars. Tesla can't just roll out a fleet of robotaxis without, jumping through all those hoops. It's a logistical nightmare.
And what about safety? I mean, people are already kind of nervous about getting into a car with no driver, right? How do you convince the public that it's actually safe?
That's a big one. And it kind of ties into this whole issue of autonomy levels,
Right.
Tesla's current full self-driving isn't actually what you'd call, well, fully self-driving. It's technically level 2, which basically means a human still needs to be paying attention and ready to take the wheel if things go sideways.
So not quite the hands-free, eyes-closed future we were promised.
Not quite. To be fair, getting to level 4 autonomy, that's where the car can basically handle anything without a human needing to intervene. That's a whole different ballgame. And there are companies out there like Waymo, which is owned by Google's parent company Alphabet, that are way ahead of Tesla on that front.
Wow, so even if Tesla nails the production and the regulations, they're still behind the curve when it comes to the self-driving tech itself.
It seems that way, yeah. But even with all that, you can't deny the potential here. We're talking about a market that some experts say could be worth trillions of dollars.
Trillions! Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
But how does that even work? Who's making all that money?
Well, think about it. If robotaxis actually become the norm, then you've got ride-hailing companies, logistics companies, even delivery services all competing in this space, not to mention the impact on car ownership itself.
Well, you're saying people might actually stop buying cars altogether?
It might sound crazy, but it's not impossible. Think about it. If you can just, I don't know, summon a safe, reliable, affordable ride anytime you want it, anywhere you want to go, why even bother with the hassle and expense of owning a car? Especially if those cars can actually be out there earning you money while you're not using them.
Okay, now that's a whole other level. We're not just talking about replacing taxis anymore. We're talking about completely changing the way we think about transportation, period.
Right. And that's what makes this whole Tesla thing so fascinating. They're not just another company jumping on the bandwagon. They have the potential to be a real catalyst for change.
So we've got Tesla shaking things up with this whole Cybercab thing, Uber and Lyft, trying to figure out their next move.
And a whole bunch of unanswered questions about this robotaxi future. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It really is. It's like a high-stakes chess match, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the future of transportation hanging in the balance.
And it's not just about, getting from point A to point B. This has the potential to change everything. The way we live, the way we work, even the way we design our cities.
It's like that ripple effect you're talking about. One company makes a move and suddenly the whole game changes.
Exactly. And Tesla doesn't exactly have a reputation for thinking small, do they? If this whole robotaxi bet pays off, it could have a massive ripple effect on the entire car industry.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, here's something I've been thinking about. With all this talk about robotaxis and the future of transportation, will it actually make electric vehicles more affordable and accessible to everyone? Or will Tesla just keep focusing on all this high-end tech and automation? What do you think?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the
I know.
answer is going to determine a lot more than just Tesla's future, if you ask me. It could shape the future of transportation as we know it. This journey is just beginning, and we'll be here to explore it every step of the way.
Until next time, keep those engines charged and those minds engaged.